Hello, it's the end of 2024 and we're figuring out who might be our next Ozeki. Throw!
Throw the salt, get in the ring. Welcome to the Dohyo.
Hello and welcome to the Dohyo here on Mr JWags channel. Well, it seems to be the end of 2024 and thus it is time for our end of 2024 sumo coverage. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we have already updated our year-end sumo rankings. Those have come before us, the charts of our tiers. This is the who will be our next Ozeki rankings, and the next video will be who will be our next Yokozuna, so stay tuned for that. So for those of you who are new to the channel and these rankings look ahead about 9 basho or 18 months. So we are trying to figure out who might possibly make Ozeki between now and the beginning of the July tournament 2025. We have a few wrestlers who are off the list since last time. The first one off the list, Ono Sato. For the best possible reason, he got promoted with the quickness. I have very few other things to say about Ono Sato. Actually, that's not true. We're going to say a lot, but that's in the Yokozuna episode coming up. Off the list, Hiroto Umi. There was a brief moment there where I thought Hiroto Umi might be able to beat the odds, but his last few tournaments have shown me, yeah, his true talent level is probably not going to be up in the lower Sanyaku regularly. And if he can't cut the mustard up there, I don't see him getting 32 to 33 wins over 3 tournaments. And I know it's not a hard and fast rule. We looked into that. Check it out. And also off the list, Gonoyama. And I think we have all forgotten that Gonoyama walked into this year with, I think, 7 consecutive winning records, which is pretty impressive for a guy who only recently made his debut. Things have not gone incredibly well for him in 2024. He's only gotten 2 winning records this year. His highest ranked total is Maegashira 2, and his highest ranked Kachikoshi is Maegashira 4. I think that was like an 8 and 7, so yeah, Gonoyama, you're not on the list, but do a little better. I could easily see you sneak your way back on. Alright, number 9 on the list, Abi. Yeah, alright, I know Abi is a bit controversial, but you cannot deny that he has made quite a home for himself at the top of the Banzuke. In fact, this year contains Abi's best stretch ever in the Sanyaku, and unfortunately for him, it's only 27 wins over 3. So yes, Abi has proven this year that he has the talent to get double-digit wins up here at the top of the Banzuke. I just don't see him as having the consistency necessary, especially now at age 30, for him to be able to put together 3 consecutive tournaments. Sorry, Abi, you're a little too old and a lot too chaotic. In a similar vein, this takes us to number 8, Daisho. Yeah, another pusher thruster over the age of 30 who has previously won a championship. Kind of like Abi. I'm putting Daisho a little bit higher than Abi because I know he is a little bit older, but he's also had more experience up here in the Sanyaku. And this year he also had a June Yusho in May, surrounded by a lot of sort of mediocrity. I hate to call it mediocrity because he's hanging out at the very top, but 3 straight 8 and 7s aren't what I'd necessarily be looking for in a future Ozeki, especially one past the age of 30. Now, unlike Abi, Daisho's best run on the Sanyaku got him very, very close to an Ozeki promotion last year. But yeah, I think his Ozeki runs are, in fact, in the yesterday for Daisho. Number 7, the field below the joy. Alright, this is a distinction I have to sort of make in every Ozeki episode. It's the difference between a reasonable case and like a plausible case. I think Daisho and Abi are both wrestlers who, in their absolute best case scenario, might be able to put together a 33 over 3 and get that Ozeki rope. I just don't see them as being consistent enough to really do it. I don't think it's very likely at all. The wrestlers I have ranked above the field, I think, are a bit more reasonable case, and I think once I give you those names, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I could totally see those guys becoming an Ozeki in the next 9 tournaments, much more so than Daisho or Abi. So yes, unlike some previous Ozeki rankings, the field is not doing that well this time. I just don't see a lot of young hotness in like the mid to low Maegashira or the very top of Judo that I think is ready to like break out in an Ozeki type fashion. I think we're going to learn a lot about the young hotness coming up in the next 3 tournaments, but for right now, we're leaving the field here at number 7. And number 6, Oho. Now, Oho has done a lot this year to sort of prove to me that he belongs at the top of the Banzuke. He hadn't quite done it up until this point. His progression had been just so slow and steady. But because that progress was slow and steady, we seem to forget that he's only 24 and just stepping into the earliest part of his peak. Now, he doesn't seem to be there quite yet. He seems to want to live between like 9 wins and 6 wins up at the top of the Banzuke, and that is amazing. It puts him in very good company. Sort of like guys like Daisho, Abi, Atamifuji. They managed to be able to hold their own at the very top of the Banzuke, but not quite break out or excel. Now, he's coming off of a 6-9 right now, so obviously he will need a little bit more runway to make Ozeki in the future, but I think there's a leap left in Oho, and let's see if he makes it in the next 9 basho. And speaking of possible leaps, number 5, Atamifuji. Now, Atamifuji is a fascinating case. He's only 22, yet it feels like he's been around Makuuchi for years. If you have not seen Sumo Spiffy's breakdown of Atamifuji, must watch, highly recommend, very well researched. So yes, much like Oho, Atamifuji spent his entire year at the top of the Banzuke, getting between like 6 and 8 wins. Now, Atamifuji was diagnosed with arthritis in his hip this year. Not the best thing you want to hear about your sumo idols, but I think at 22 he's going to be able to figure out a workaround to get through this part of his career, and I think there is another step in his sumo. And I think this one might be a little bit closer than Oho's, despite Atamifuji's younger age. He's just been at the top of the Maegashira ranks a little bit longer, and he's in the Isagahama stable, which means every day at practice he is facing guys like Terunofuji, guys like Takerufuji, Takarafuji, all these Makuuchi level wrestlers. So I just feel like the level of practice is a little bit higher for Atamifuji, so I've got him one step higher on these rankings than Oho. Now from the youngs to the sort of old-ish. Number 4, Wakamoto Haru. Now, he's 31, but he does have the added benefit of being the only reasonable case to make Ozeki after the very next tournament. He got 10 wins at Komasubi, and the tournament before that at Maegashira 3, he got 11 wins, and as we have found out, the Maegashira 3 is high enough to start an Ozeki run. So he's already got 21 wins over 2. All he would need would be, hypothetically, 12 wins in his next tournament. Why is he only number 4? Well, Wakamoto Haru has never gotten 12 wins in a tournament. So yeah, although I love Wakamoto Haru, he's 31, which is really the wrong side of 30 to start making your first Ozeki run. And also, I just haven't seen the burst ability out of him to have that amazing sort of tournament where he could get 12 or 13 wins. Unlike guys like Abi and Daisho, who while they're very, very inconsistent, I think their highs are going to be a bit higher and their lows are going to be a little bit lower than a guy like Wakamoto Haru, who seems to be more evenly keeled. So yes, I fully expect Wakamoto Haru to get a winning record in the next tournament. I don't expect it to be enough to make Ozeki. But just being a wrestler who hangs out in the Sanyaku and gets Kachikoshi all the time keeps him in a position to make Ozeki. Thus, he is number 4. Ooh, now we're getting into the interesting ones. Number 3, Takerufuji. Now, what a year Takerufuji has. He started off with a Yusho in his Judyo debut, then a Yusho in his Makuuchi debut. He got hurt winning that Yusho, fell all the way down to the bottom of Judyo, came back, won another Judyo Yusho, and then got 10 wins at the bottom of the Maegashira ranks in November. So, since Takerufuji's last tournament was at Maegashira 16, and his next tournament's probably going to be like Maegashira 7 or 8, that won't be considered the start of an Ozeki run. You need to start like Maegashira 4 or higher. Now, this is, of course, very, very speculative. It takes most wrestlers who eventually make Ozeki over a year after they make their Sanyaku debut to make Ozeki. Of course, there have been some very large recent exceptions like Onosato and Asanoyama. But yeah, we still don't know what Takerufuji's true talent level is, but he's shown enough this year that I'm willing to put him number 3 on the rankings. Alright, and a surprising number 2, our number 2 from the last rankings, Kirishima. During the last Ozeki rankings, Kirishima was number 2 because he had just dropped out of Ozeki and he was like at Ozeki Wake and he needed 10 wins to go back up to Ozeki. And I'm like, well, that's pretty darn close if you just need 10 wins to make Ozeki. I figured 3 tournaments later we'd have a much better idea about where to put Kirishima. I was wrong. Yeah, Kirishima just doesn't seem to want to, pick a side. His 2023 was so dominant. His 2024 has been so inconsistent. The things I have picked up on the sumo internets and the sumo subreddits, he's still hurt, and that is contributing to a lot of inconsistency. But look at the year. When he's on his game, he's still getting 12-3 Junyusho. When he's not feeling his game, he loses his first 5 in a row when he's meant to be your Yusho pick. Not that I'm still mad about that. I mean, he's 28, still in the meat of his peak. He had 2 Kachikoshi before this last tournament at Sekiwake. He still seems to have the skills to stay up there. But yeah, with Kirishima, I could easily see a future where he makes Ozeki in the next 6 tournaments, but I could also see a future where he ends up at the bottom of Maegashira by the next time I do these rankings. There's a lot of error bars in the Kirishima prediction, but for right now, I'm keeping him at number 2. All right, these rankings were kind of tough. It was not nearly as easy as last time, where it was just basically Onosato, check mark. And this time, I really had to dig into it. But I think the most likely wrestler to beat Ozeki in the next 9 tournaments, Wakataka Kage. I know I've spent a lot of time in this video talking about the wrong side of the age of 30. Oh no, Wakataka Kage just turned 30. Okay. He has just turned 30, but it's a relatively svelte 30 for a sumo wrestler. So even though he has had an injury history, I figure the fact that he's in such phenomenal shape is going to help him in the future staying away from future injuries. At least as much as you can in sumo. He gets this ranking for how consistent and excellent his year has been. He was not even on these rankings the last time I did these in May, because he was in the lower divisions. We all forget he started this year in Makushita, but every single tournament since then has been excellent. He got a Makushita Yusho to start the year, and then he got a Juryo Yusho in May. Now, 3 straight tournaments in Makuuchi, each of them with double-digit wins as he increases his rank. That tells me he's right about where he was before he got hurt in terms of true talent level. Right at least at the Komusubi Sekiwake level. And if you're telling me a guy can hang out in the lower Sanyaku and regularly get double-digit wins, that to me seems like he's pretty ready to make an Ozeki run. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Dohyo. If you have not yet, please like and subscribe. You pushing the buttons just makes YouTube so happy this holiday season. And if you've been around the channel for a bit, checked out a few episodes, maybe consider checking out our Patreon and supporting us there. We'd love to have you. As I mentioned before, stay tuned to the channel for all of our amazing end-of-year coverage, including our Who Will Be Our Next Yokozuna Rankings and the much-anticipated Whose Year Was 2024. All right, everyone, stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy, and I will see you next time on the Dohyo.